I recently saw this funny bit from a comedian named Dan Docimo or Docimo. I don't know, I'll put it on the screen. The gist of it was about maybe you were a good person and you died.
I learned recently in some religions you can't be cremated or you don't go to heaven. I hope that rule is not true, because you're dead for a little bit before you get cremated, so you would be in heaven. And then somebody would come up to you and go, hey, your family just burned you, you gotta go. Come on, out of the pool. Like, what? But I did everything right. Yeah, it sucks, dude, I don't make the rules. Put the chocolate milk down, you're going to hell.
Put down the chocolate milk, you're going to hell. And it made me laugh out loud, and I just thought it was like a perfect little quote for me to draw because I think it's really funny and also a little bit nonsensical, especially out of context. And I like to draw those kind of things. But we're gonna draw it. Let me sketch this out, and we'll turn it into a piece of art, if you will. All right, let's get into it. I need to get my glove on for this serious business. Initially, right off the bat, just pictured in my head one of those little chocolate milk cartons that you get at a school lunch. So I was doing some image research, and I discovered that it was hard to find. And then I realized it was hard to find because they are not as common, which shows how old I am. When I was a kid, it was in the time of big milk. I feel like all you ever saw was milk propaganda. It was like you needed to drink a lot of milk all the time, or you know, you were gonna fall apart. Turns out that you don't really need to drink cow milk constantly, all day long. I found something that I was looking for. So one of these little cartons, and I thought that would be funny to put within the illustration. So I'm gonna quickly kind of sketch my own take on this. Maybe just like get the little kind of square thing and just kind of exaggerate that carton part. The part that was confusing to me is how it sort of like opens a little bit here. It doesn't need to be perfect, it's gonna be small. I don't know if I wanna put the straw in there. Maybe it's like one of those like bendy straws. Maybe we can sort of build the composition around it. I don't think it should be like the main focal point, but it should be part of it. It's a big part of what we're doing here. We gotta put the chocolate milk down. We've got, let's sort of just like write it down. So put then we got like chocolate, milk. I'm sort of like breaking it up as I think I may illustrate it, like in terms of like hierarchy. So I feel like milk should be on its own line. Down, maybe that's all in one line. You're going maybe to hell. I said maybe to hell, but I was talking about like the visual hierarchy. So maybe what we could do is have like some splashy, scripty lettering for like milk. And then chocolate could be like a little bit in the same way, but like a smaller version of it. Like maybe something coming up like that. Maybe we can have sort of like not like a banner, but just sort of like a shape. And maybe something like put the chocolate milk, just keep it loose and rough here. And that way you can just sort of figure out the composition a little bit. So I'm gonna ignore the next part first, just so I can sort of think about hell. Think about like how it would fit and how big it would need to be, and then we can sort of put that other stuff in to fit that space because it's sort of secondary. These are gonna be flaming letters. Oh, maybe we can use this space here and put like to hell. All right, I'm gonna take this whole part up here and just kind of squish it a little bit so it's not taking up so much room. Oh, maybe we could have this like be another sort of like arrowy shape, and that's pointing to hell. And this is like an overall good shape, I think. Let's merge this all down. I'm gonna scale this and see how it works in this shape. It's actually sort of perfect. Okay, so now that I know the sizing is pretty good, we can, you know, bring down the opacity and just like iterate on top of this. Just, you know, make it better. So what we can do is like figure out the areas that aren't working as well. So like, or just like need help figuring out what's happening. So for example, the chocolate milk and like the down here are a little bit jammed together. Maybe this chocolate milk container should be sort of not sitting perfectly flat, like it's being placed down quickly, because they're getting rushed off to hell. They just put that chocolate milk down. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cheat a little bit with this photo and just sort of get the overall shape for the sketch. Sometimes I'll just sort of like, if it's a photo-based thing that I'm gonna stylize, I can just sort of like outline the shape this way, and then by the time I do like the final line work, it's already getting sort of like reinterpreted, and I'm gonna put like artwork on it anyway, so I basically just want this shape a little bit tighter. And now I'll actually just delete that image because that's all I needed from it, and then we can use this to make our final artwork. Because I'm gonna modify it a little bit, because although this is what the photo looks like, that doesn't feel like what it looks like to me. Like I feel like the top part is too big. I picture it a little bit differently, and when I'm drawing things and stylizing things, I really like to lean into what I feel like they look like and what I remember them looking like, because I'm stylizing things, and that sort of memory is more important than what it actually looks like. Because I said so. Okay, so let's find a size and placement for this. So maybe it's like rotated a little bit that way, so it's like off kilter. We could sort of use that space to work this down lettering in like a more intentional use of that space. So it's like making a little bit of a surface that milk is sitting down on or starting to sit down on. And then I'll just use that angle to make this shape like that. I think that might be a little too wide. I think I want it to come in just a little bit more like that. So I'm thinking just making some flame letters, roughly the same size, leaving space for the two. And because it's flames, we can be creative in how that shape fits, so we can use it to make it work within the shape a little bit better. I'm still staying really loose at this point because it's still more about figuring out the shape than like solidifying the letter forms and how they're gonna look like, because it's gonna change based on like how I'm gonna fit them. So I'm just sort of like getting them close in terms of like the shape, and then we'll do like a tighter version when we get there. So maybe if we have a straw coming out like this, it could sort of look like it's spilling out this chocolate, and then we can just have the milk be sort of splashy. Just trying to get this to sort of fit together over here. I think we're gonna have to move the chocolate up a little bit based on this. As you can see, it gets pretty messy in this stage, but you know, that's okay. So the issue is the I and the L. We need the L to be taller to read like a better L. K can be a little bit smaller, and the I can be like that. Okay, so now we can just like get this chocolate. I like the idea of it sort of flowing over. So just lots of layers, lots of iterations, keeping it going. Straw like that, and it can sort of come up like that. And it looks a little bit like an E now, but we can fix that as we use the thicks and thins to make it like liquidy. So, all right, so now we just need so what I'm gonna do is just make a new layer. It's also becoming a little too perfect. So I think what I wanna do is look at what we were doing with the original sketch, because I feel like that had a little bit better energy with the flow of the overall shape. So I'm just gonna make it smaller because it's a sketch, doesn't matter. And then we'll do the same thing for the initial rough sketch and figure out why this one had more energy. Okay, so it has more energy because it's got less horizontal lines. Things are looking a little too stacked and flat on the new version. What I'll do is bring down the opacity, maybe just draw some like lines in to try to give it more energy. Maybe this, that, something like that. Maybe the milk carton needs to like rotate that way or something. And then maybe the hell can sort of rotate a little bit like that. Like maybe this thing can not come out so far. So we can see what's happening a little bit better. I'm gonna make a new layer and just fill it in pink and then clip it to those guides. And now I can like see the difference between those supplemental guides and that drawing. Quickly work the lettering into these new guides that we made. Instead of redrawing this, I'm just going to copy and paste it. Actually, I really like how that sort of fits into that little notch. All All right, I think we might be getting there. Yeah, that has a lot more energy, I think. Then when we tighten it up, I think it's gonna be even better. What I'll do now is just add in the other words just to make sure that we're not missing anything. So we got all the elements, that's working. Now we can make it look better and figure out what it actually looks like. Like I know it looks like this, but like, you know, what it looks like if it's not drawn like trash very quickly. And we're gonna put some graphics on it, subtle, maybe just like a simple cow face. Just being a little bit more intentional about how that fits there. And I think this might be it. All right, let's tighten this up. Let's get these dotty hairs off my screen. Let's also get rid of all this other crap. One of the problems I have with, well, it's not really a problem. Well, the problem, so I do lots of iterations to just keep refining and making things better, but then I can end up with just a ton of layers. All right, lower the opacity. Switch over to the classic anchor. Let's start with the milk carton because it's a little bit of a hot mess right now. So I want to give it some character, maybe make it a little wonky. This is a school lunch carton, so it's a little beat up and slammed around, just making this line a little wonky. And then this part where it like folds and opens. I feel like these things are always like gnarly because they just get like soggy. Ew. I think what I'll do is just like put a little bit of a extra lip here because it's like the two pieces folded together. Trying to be pretty realistic. All right, and then the straw. So I was doing the one with the bend. So what I'm gonna do is draw the two straight parts. I'm gonna draw the curved part, put some little lines. Not a ton, but just to get some of that in there. The opening, okay, that's fine. We can worry about the carton graphics later. So I'm gonna start with this banner because the chocolate lettering is like made out of liquid and it's like flowy and moving all around, so I can mess with that a little bit easier. You may be thinking, well, I assumed you would start with that one because that comes before chocolate in the sentence. And while that's true, I don't generally draw that way. I sort of hop around the composition. I think I'm gonna make that a solid shape. I want that to be more minimal in the final illustration, and all that line work will give it more focus. So we just have it as like a flat color with the lettering on top of it. I think we can set it back a little bit. Obviously, it's not being set back right now because it's solid black, but when we introduce color, we can get to that. Okay, so I'm also gonna do the down and you're going next. Again, the milk is liquidy, so it can be more flowy. I think this line weight is a little bit thin for the lettering. I want the lettering to be slightly bolder than the milk carton because that's a secondary thing. Okay, actually, so the TO is like a little cramped in there right now, which I want it, it's very secondary, but I think I need to figure this out before I do the rest of the H, because this has less space to work with. Okay, so I'm trying to just sort of like use this space and have it feel flame-like, but also still like the letters. Okay, so I think that's okay, but again, it's not perfect, but I think I needed to do this to get to where I need it to be. All right, let's look at it. I don't think it's bad. I just think I can make it a little bit better, but we can come back to that. That's good enough for now. So let's work on this chocolate milk. I think because the milk part is bigger, I'm gonna work with that first. Okay, so instead of going to the E, I'm gonna go to the end, and that way we don't start to simplify sequentially since we're like influenced by the letter before. And also this area over here could fit a little bit better, I think. All right, let's sketch some milk carton graphics without overthinking it. Is that a pig? How do we know if it's a cow? Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's funny if it looks like a pig. Cows have that. I think they have that. All right, let's make it smaller. So I'm thinking, let's just do some simple chonky letters that are like chalk, choco, and then we'll make it extra dumb and put mook, mook, moo, moo. We're not overthinking it. We're just gonna make this simple. Let's really lean into the dumbness and put a smiley face on it. This is the most pig-looking cow I've ever drawn. I don't know how many cows I've drawn. Probably a lot, actually. I think we nailed it. All right, we nailed it. We're ready to color it. All right, you know what? We're just gonna color right now, and I'm not gonna overthink it and be crazy. At least that's the hope. I don't know what I'm gonna do for color, but I'm just gonna start with the colors that I know that I'm gonna need. One of those is being chocolate milk color. So with background colors or something. And it's a place to start. We need fire, so hell letter. We're already looking at. We might need yellow. That's yellow. Super different colors. Orange for the red. We also have to think about. Look at the down. Look how I shine for you. And all the things you do. That's a solution. All right. Not in love with the background. Let's see what we can do about that. Let's fart around with a hue saturation thing and see if we can get lucky. There's something about that orange that's kind of cool. The hell would have to be like red with orange highlights. Well, the yellow's kind of cool. Do we miss the blue though? This is the coloring process. Like people are always like, hey, how do you pick your colors? I just fart around until I'm satisfied. Usually never. I told myself ahead of time that I wasn't going to use the Riso brushes for this, because I use them for everything and it gets a little confusing in the videos because they're a little confusing to use, but this is more simple because I'm not layering color to make new colors, really. These brushes are in my Retro Supply Co pack if you're interested, link below. Okay, so as you can see we get that nice little texture there, and we're going to set all our layers to multiply. Let's grab this orange color, let's load this as a selection, and then I'm just gonna make a new layer. I'm gonna put each color on a new layer so they multiply over each other and it gets that cool sort of printmakey Riso print look. And I just wanna make sure that I'm using like different numbers for each color as much as I can, just because it changes the pattern. So when they overlay, you get a more natural look so you see some of the other color through. All right, put the chocolate milk down, you're going to hell. We nailed it.